BMGM, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. And I see we have Quanta and E.R. Donaldson joining us and Rihanna Morgan. And actually, this is Rihanna Morgan. I am standing in for CD Demitio, our founder and editor of Vagobond magazine. And so I just want to say good morning to everyone and see if we want to jump in and start with some introductions all around.
GM, everyone. Sounds great, Rihanna. Thanks for being here and thanks for taking the lead. So I'll go ahead and get started with mine. I am E.R. Donaldson. I am the managing editor for Vagabond magazine.
Hello. Happy Monday, everybody. I love that we meet this way at the start of the week. It's like having coffee and conversation with the Web3 family, and it's so amazing. I am Quanta. I'm the fashion editor for Vagobond magazine.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Quanta and ER. It's so great to be here with you. And I love starting the week off this way. And so I want to jump in really quick and see if there's any new news before we start talking about the October issue. If there's any new news in Web3, and if there's anything that you've run across over the weekend or anything that's popped up in your news feed today. And so please jump in and share.
No news, but a personal update. So for the work with the magazine, I've been starting to do some more stuff with video games and seeing what we're going to be doing there going forward. Have a nice little piece for the year-end review that I want to run by CD here next time he's on. So CD, here's your news. You got something coming from me. But I've been going back through some of the older Web3 games that I had been following at a time where the price to entry was just too exorbitant to jump in. And now you still have scaling depending on what level you're going to get into, but I'm finding that a lot of the old entries that I had been following are now affordable to enter in at a basic level so that you can try out the system and see how you like it, and then escalate your investment from there. So in 2024, I'm looking forward to doing some more of that. One of the nice things, one of the few nice things about kind of the Web3 recession we've been in is that it has decreased the barrier to entry on the financial side. So looking forward to doing that very soon.
I have been tied up with my IRL career this last week. I mean, it's wedding season time, so I've been like really crunching it with orders at the moment. So I haven't been able to really dive into the fashion, the Web3 fashion. But yes, there are like two things that I need to check out, and they are on my to-do list. One is DressX has they have introduced an AI tool where you upload a photo and you can use any one of their wearables on your photo, and I believe that they look so natural. It doesn't look like it is put on the on an image. Earlier, when this used to be done by artists who had to adjust the garment to the image, to the photo. I mean, it is a 3/4 view, or you're sitting or you're standing. But I believe that they've done a phenomenal job with this, and this is something I'm really excited to check out.
Oh man, that sounds exciting. So ER, I'll start with yours and talk about your thoughts on barrier to entry there with being able to join in on these different experiences and these different platforms and these different games. And that is so exciting. And I really feel like that eliminating a barrier to entry is really a lot of what Web3 does anyway. And I know that there are things that are cost prohibitive for a lot of people coming into this space, or it has been, in the different markets that we've been experiencing. But I really think that if you are a writer coming into the space and you want to share your work, that there's not really a barrier to that entry. If you are an artist, if you are all of these different creators coming into the space, there's home for them. And so that's just so exciting to me. And it's so exciting to know that there are these new experiences that you're getting to be involved with. And so I can't wait to hear more about that. And then Quanta, I can't wait for you to do an article on this, because that would be wonderful to be able to see the compare and contrast of what you were talking about, how the wearables look so much more natural now versus what they used to look like, and how the technology is really catching up and being really exciting. And so thank you both for sharing that. And then I have kind of an interesting one. Every once in a while, as a writer, I jump in and I do like an incognito Google search of Rihanna Morgan, and just to see what is popping up here and there. And I'm going to save what I found on myself for Web3 Writers Hour tomorrow, because it's really sort of amazing. But today for Vagobond magazine, I just jumped in and I just did a Google search on Web3 news. And I was so amazed by the kinds of things that I saw. Of course, there's cryptocurrency news and Bitcoin and ETH and all of those kind of things jumping up. But then there are those more to ask kind of questions, like, are we in Web3 yet? What is Web3, of course, and where's the best place to get Web3 news? And here, of course, with us is one of the best places to get Web3 news, because we talk about Web3 news as a lifestyle and not just a monetary piece. We talk about people living and working and growing in the space. And so we have a larger and wider view. And then there's just all sorts of things. Can Web3 change the world? Why are people moving to Web3? And so what companies are leading in Web3? And so it was just really sort of interesting, all of these different pieces, and everything is really leaning towards the positive. And the people who, it's just so exciting. Like every single time I read one of these and every single time I return to one, I'm just like, yay, yay. This is so wonderful, because I think back to different things that we've seen throughout our lifetime. And because I'm old enough to remember when the internet wasn't necessarily the internet, and people were like, what is this place and what is this thing? And I can remember sending my first email and being like, this is really interesting, and what is this, how does this work? And so, oh yes, and I see your hand is up, so yeah, let's go for it.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just wanted to jump in, but yeah, I too remember when the internet was kind of like, what is this thing? I actually wrote a paper for a social studies, civics kind of competition that was centered on frontiers. And at the time, the internet was the new frontier, and looking at the time very brief history on it. And at that time, I remember playing with the GeoCities sites, and I just, again, didn't mean to stop you there, but it's really interesting getting to do it again, and having really seen it with Web 2 back before things like Facebook were open to everybody, back when it was just a college audience, back when Twitter was this new thing that kept everybody distracted from our undergraduate classes. So, really kind of cool getting to see this happening in for the third time.
Oh, I know. And I just really feel like that people are so technology comfortable with technology. I don't know what phrasing would be best for that, but I think that the transition from the initial internet to a Web3 won't be as difficult for everyone. Yes, and Quanta, I see you had your hand up.
Yeah, sorry to butt in, but my first experience of the internet was, do you all remember the movie The Net with Sandra Bullock? in it.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes,
God, that
yes,
was,
yes.
and I saw that, and I was in school, and I just didn't understand. I didn't understand it one bit. But then when I started using the internet, that's when it's like, it came through. But yeah, that was my first experience of the internet.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And my first entrance into the Web3 space was actually watching the movie Ready Player One. And I watched it years ago, like right after it came out. And I was just like, this is the most amazing thing, the most amazing story. And I just, wouldn't that be cool if it were real so that people could be, I really feel like that we can really be who we are in spaces like this because we're not weighed down by the trappings of everyday life, of having to look a certain way or be a certain way, or show up for a meeting in fancy clothes and people are like, well, I mean, there's so much judgment in the real world, and I just feel like that's not what we get here. We get our real our real selves, even though we have never met in real life, none of us here in the space today. And so it just feels more freeing in some instances. And so, yes, let's pass the mic around again.
Yeah, I mean, Ready Player One is definitely kind of like the pinnacle of like where you want to go in some aspects. I mean, you got to remember there were some dystopian things there, but as a gamer, the way they did the fusion of sci-fi and fantasy and the escapism and being able to create this online persona that you very much became in a real way, those are all super cool things, and I think that to a degree you're going to see that be adopted as a stated goal here in the Web3 space. It'll be really interesting to see how some of the broader communities like Sandbox or Roblox are two that come to mind right at the hand. Of being hubs where you can jump in, kind of like with Ready Player One, and join a variety of different scenarios. At the same time, with the direction that Web3 is taking, really taking the decentralized space, it'll be interesting to see how that manifests differently from that vision as well. Because if you guys remember the story, it was just this one company that owned the world, and it was one platform. And here you have much more democratization, which I think is going to be really cool. Before I pass to Quanta real quick, I want to touch back on a subject that we were discussing earlier with the barrier to entry. And yeah, I think that was really a thing. I remember it being a thing for me, not as a artist looking to get their material out into Web3, but in trying to be a collector as well. I'm thinking, pandemic 2020, 2021 times, it was really, really expensive to jump in and try to just get a feel for the space and see how you like it and see the benefits. And again, I mentioned I'm going back to these Web3 games, and I was like, yeah, I'd love to play, but maybe showing my age, but PC Gamer, I would remember would come out with these CDs that would have demos that you could trial their different software on. I think PlayStation Magazine might have had something similar. I know I was getting demo CDs somewhere where you could jump in and test out software before you made that. I think at the time it was a $40 or a $50 commitment. What new games are running for like 60 or 70 these days. But for Web3, especially in the gaming, and whether it's play to earn or just Web3 gaming on the blockchain, to invest hundreds of dollars in a system that you can't get a feel for is just not something that the general consumer is going to want to trial. And that was the way that a year ago, these maybe 2 years ago, time seems compressed these days. These these platforms were operating under. So I actually think that the new environment is more appropriate. And once we start getting some really high quality products out there, some really high quality communities, I bet you're going to see these things take off. So.
Yeah, I love where this conversation is veering towards. Like, I have a question. Do you all think that would you equate Web3 to gaming? I mean, I'm not talking about the metaverse. I'm talking about Web3, the technology. And Diona, you were talking about, how you can be who you want to be here, just like Ready Player Me. You have, you have your avatar, you have your own identity. Is that what Web3 is?
That is a great question. That is a great question. I feel like that we, gosh, and I don't know necessarily what it's going to evolve to become, but I really feel like right now, when I visit other spaces, when I visit other activities, when I talk with other creatives in the space, that they just feel more open. And I will get a DM from someone who I've been talking with, periodically, um, for 2 or 3 months. Maybe I just met them, and then they will send me something that says, thank you so much for being so kind, or thank you so much for introducing me to this platform, or thank you so much for introducing me to this other writer. And I've been a writer such a long time, and my personality as a person hasn't changed, but I feel like the response that I'm receiving in Web3, when I do share, when I do give, that there is gratitude given back. And that's not always the case, sadly, in real life with other writers. They see me as competition, even though there's billions of readers in the world. There's enough readers for everybody to have, their 1,000 true fans or whatever. There's enough. And I think it's okay that we build each other up. And not think, I know it's okay that we build each other up, that we help each other, that we lift each other. But that sentiment is so much in Web3, but it's not so much in IRL, in Web2 land. And so I just feel like that in Web3 we get to that saying, be the change you want to see in the world. Well, we're doing it. We're doing it all of the time, every day here. And it's just, I feel so lucky to be able to be part of this conversation every single time we get to talk about this. And so I don't know, Quanta, if that's an answer to your question, but that's my sentiment. So thanks. Thank you. What do you guys think?
I mean, some of it comes down to your definition of a game, right? Because you guys got to remember, Sims is a game. Second Life is something that I don't have personal experience with, but I have friends that have developed huge communities over there. Those are technically video games. Really what it is it's this virtual environment, right? And just to run back to Ready Player One, they use that platform, yes, for gaming, which is where a lot of the really good story elements came into play, but they also used it for things like school. And it was just this milieu that you could go out and have your virtual existence in. So it's like, so is Web3 a game? I mean, I think that gamification of anything is a positive for people with my personality type. I used to compete with test scores. Now, my wife, on the other hand, doesn't like those things. So I think the answer is going to be somewhere in the middle. I think for the individuals who like the competitive and the gamification aspects of life in general, I think they'll apply Web3 to that aspect. But I think that those who do not like those kind of things, then I think there'll be freedom to express themselves in other ways. And essentially, what I'm viewing is, the virtual reality overlay over our current existence.
Yeah, I think that makes complete sense. I mean, Web3, like CD always says, it's not just one thing. It's like many things, and we are still defining it. And I think the best part of it is that each one comes with their own, you can call it agenda to be here, and each one experiences it. You know, the way that they want to experience it. So there isn't one true definition of it. Yeah, I love what you said.
Yes, excellent. Great conversation, you guys. This is wonderful, but we probably ought to, turn our eyes towards the October issue. And so let me reset the room here really quick and remember what we're all doing here. And so, yes, this is VMGM. This is Rihanna Morgan leading the show today. Our editor and publisher, Vagobond magazine, CD Demitio, is out today. And so we have with us here Quanta. She's our fashion editor, and E.R. Donaldson is our managing editor. And so I just want to let's zoom back to what we've put together this month for our readers and our fans out there in the Web3 lifestyle. And so, Quanta, can you jump in and talk a little bit about, because we didn't get to talk about it very much last time, the Vagobond magazine playlist? Will you jump in and chat about that a little bit?
Oh, sure. So this was the October issue was a music issue, and I think it just made sense that we. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in the word gamification here. Have fun with the issue where the community gets involved also while the issue is getting churned out. So and music is such a thing that can it can define a situation, it can define a person, it can define your emotions. And I thought it's something that uh, you know how would you define Vagabond magazine if it was set to music, if there was a song or there was a music piece that what do you think speaks Vagabond magazine? Because it's not just a publication; it is much more. And we had these amazing songs, and it's like I mean, there's not just one genre. It goes like slow, it goes heavy metal, it goes country, it's gone jazz. So it's so exciting to see that the community, what the Vagabond magazine community feels about um, feels about VM. That's how it came to be. And so this playlist is on Spotify, and yeah, I mean, it's great if you can check it out, and just like listen to it with don't even check out what song comes after the other, just go with the flow.
Oh,
You know,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to reiterate the eclectic nature. I was opening up my copy and reviewing the playlist. And when this was getting put together, when the first song that was kind of submitted, I think, is "Surfing in the USA," the Beach Boys, I unfortunately kind of sat back and was like, "Yeah, I'm going to sit this one out because if that's the vibe we're going for, that's not my jam." And then I ended up with some IRL stuff that kind of kept me away as it was developing. But then, you look at like the last three that are listed in the issue are from Tool, which is totally, totally my domain. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I probably could have gotten something in there. And I just love how eclectic the tastes are, and it's really a representation of the people you're going to find in this Web3 community right here. It is not a one size fits all thing. It is quite eclectic.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And I love all types of music. I'm not a musician in any way. I'm not musically inclined, but I love to listen to music and I love to listen to what other people enjoy listening to. And it always is fun to see it's a hint towards their personality. And so I love that. And then this morning I was like, "Oh, I'm going to see how tech savvy I am and see if I can't figure out how to play this when the space started." Well, clearly I did not make that work. I apologize for that. And so maybe our tech editor, next time he pops in, he can teach me how to do that, because I think it would be wonderful if our music actually opened our show. So we'll work on that, everybody. And so, yes, thank you, Quanta, so much for sharing that. And then, um, E.R. Donaldson, if you wouldn't mind jumping in and talking. I know last time we may have mentioned it a little bit, but I really want you to jump in and share. You have such a deep knowledge of gaming, and looking at your article that you wrote on Mortal Kombat, and you can maybe skip some of the spoilers, but if you want to dive into that a little bit more and talk to us about, tell us about your journey. Tell us about what you experienced on this path. And so I'm really intrigued.
Yeah, sure, sure. I'd be more than happy to. So, for those of you who haven't checked it out yet, I kind of opened the article a little bit with my background with the Mortal Kombat franchise, and early memories. Different things stick out for different people, but one of the things that uh, really stuck out for me early on was bonding with specifically my father and actually my grandmother over a lot of these games and on the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, and then the Super Nintendo SNES systems. And on SNES, I had this fighter game that I'm certain my father bought for himself, because surely he wouldn't have bought it for his 5, 6 year old son at the time when it was released. And it was too hard for me. And then I, grew up, and it's like, okay, getting more into gaming as I went over, and I came back and I played it, and I was like, okay, I was able to beat this. And then you know, not necessarily a point of pride, but as I was entering into middle school, early high school, being part of some of the bootlegging culture there, I got to play a wide variety of games, and one of them was Mortal Kombat 3. Well, really enjoyed that. Watched the movies and how this franchise went through, and like had the total 90s Mortal Kombat experience. And then kind of stepped away for a little bit after high school. Well, then I came back when they rebooted the franchise, and that was the ninth edition of the mainline games. And it was cool because they went back and replayed all the events of the uh, original trilogy of games in kind of an altered timeline mode. And they had this new story mode where it wasn't just you selecting your fighter and working through the tower of opponents as it had been in the games that I was familiar with. You actually got to walk through, and your characters were selected for you, and you were in charge of progressing the story by winning the different fights, the different challenges there. Well, they've kept this up, and they've progressed it for two more entries, Mortal Kombat X and then Mortal Kombat 11, kept advancing the story. And then, not again, small spoilers for Mortal Kombat 11, but if you're one edition behind, I think you're probably okay with spoilers at this point. Mortal Kombat 11 ends again, kind of resetting the timeline. And so that brings you to the new game, which is called Mortal Kombat 1. And I was kind of expecting more of a fresh reboot with the franchise, where it was a little bit less of an acknowledgement to what had come before. And that wasn't the case when I found and played it, and I beat it on launch day, something I very rarely do with video games, but I was really stoked about this edition. There is definitely a reboot feel So it's not an impossible thing to be able to jump on as a new player. But I kind of wax poetic throughout the article, discussing the things that worked and didn't work with the way they approached this new edition, and making it a reboot, but kind of also not a reboot. So again, I'd love for you guys to read the article. Even though I do apply some criticisms, I want to emphasize the game is definitely worth playing. If you like the fighter genre at all, and even some low level kind of RPG elements integrated into it as well. Uh, so it's definitely worth playing. I think it's a very good game. My article just really kind of centers on the story and the storytelling choices that I found interesting or even potentially detrimental. So had a lot of fun playing the game, a lot of fun writing the article. So be sure to check it out.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I really did enjoy reading your article and I really enjoy hearing you talk about gaming. My son, one of my favorite memories of him growing up is him actually playing Mortal Kombat. And I am not, I don't have great hand eye coordination. And so I'm a million miles behind whatever it is that needs to be happening in the game. And so I'm not a good video game player. I'm an amazing video game watcher, though. um, except for with him, because somehow or another, if he's playing the game and going along and it looks like his character is going to be in danger, I just have a very hard time handling that he's in danger. And so he's actually said, Mom, please don't watch me play. Please, don't come in and sit on the couch beside me and watch me play. And because I get too panicked and then I mess him up and then his character dies and then he's upset. So thank you so much for that lovely walk down memory lane with him. And so then, Quanta, do you want to jump in? Do you have video game thoughts?
I'm not a video game player at all. I think I'm like you. I watch. I have two little nieces right now, and the games they play are like, okay, as much as I can take it. These are not fighting games, so it's all right for me. But I'd like to know, how old is Mortal Kombat actually? I mean, when was the first one out?
I think I put the release date in my article. Just a second, let's skim it here. Um, I mean, it's over 30 years old, the franchise, because it's roughly my age. Um, yeah, so I'd say ballpark numbers about 30 years.
Wow. Oh my God. I would have thought like, okay, 10 years, 30 years. It's like, you have these fashion houses, these legendary fashion houses. It feels like that when you say 30 years Mortal Kombat. I haven't read your article. I'm sorry. It's the last space you mentioned. Don't, you have to play it and then read it. So I said, okay, I'm going to find out from somebody and then I'm going to get down to read it. But, yeah, I need to really check this game out.
So what you could actually do right now with the stream culture, there is a great way that I've caught up on a lot of games that I haven't had the time to play, and you can actually go see full playthroughs or even like just story cutscene playthroughs of different video games on YouTube. There's a lot of streamers out there who have that. So it's like if you just wanted a flavor and then to get an essence for the story, uh, I'm certain somebody has a full YouTube a full playthrough out there. So and then I did look it up. It looks like it was 1992 this came out. So yeah, almost exactly 30 years. So kind of crazy.
Hey, great. I'm gonna look at the YouTube videos. Definitely.
So fun, so fun. Yes, my children love watching the streaming of all of the different people who are playing games, and the older generation beyond ours are like, what are they doing? And I am a friend of technology, and so I really like all of these different experiences that we get to experience and that our kids get to experience. And so, but before I talk about the thing that I want to talk about today with one of our guest writers to Vagobond magazine, Quanta, your feature this month really brings fashion and music together in a beautiful way. And so I really want you to spend some time talking about how you put this article together. And then I wish all of you listening now or in the future could see how beautiful her layouts are. And so please grab a copy to look at this. And E.R. Donaldson has amazing artwork also. And it's just a piece of art, this magazine itself. But Quanta, please jump in and share words about your article.
Sure, yes. Um, so basically, fashion and music, they share sort of like a symbiotic relationship. I mean, in the sense that they enhance each other. Um, so we have music icons and we have style icons. And then most often, music icons, uh, by, by their profession or by their self-definition, they become style icons. So, you'll have, I mean, if you think of somebody like Michael Jackson, there is an image that you have, okay, he'll be in a military jacket, he'll be with those crop, trousers with the little white socks showing. Earlier, he used to wear penny loafers, and then there is the single white glove in his right hand. So, um, they have they they create a fashion statement in themselves, and you cannot separate the fashion from the artist as and from their song. Now some songs become iconic because, like, I will take the example of Michael Jackson again. If you remember the Thriller video, and he was in this red jacket, and the moment you think of the song Thriller, and then it's Michael Jackson and you see him in that red jacket, and that red jacket was such a rage in the 80s. So you have music artists like Michael Jackson, you have Prince, you have Elton John, but every artist does not have such eccentric styles, but every music artist, they have a personal style, and that style is becomes the fashion statement. And that, you like, I would never, I don't think I would ever see Bruce Springsteen dress up as Michael Jackson, you know um, that's what I mean. That becomes fashion, and that is what I've tapped into in this article, how they both, the combination, the collaboration of fashion and music, it is so spectacular. I mean, you see it on the stage. When you see a fashion show, it is hard to imagine a fashion show without music. You can't imagine the models walking down the runway without a beat, to guide their steps. And talking about music, we also have fashion merchandise. Like, we have caps and T-shirts. They have like either the latest album that is printed on it, and they or the band's logo. Now, if the Rolling Stones, the logo of the Rolling Stones, the lips, that is the most, I feel it's the most famous logo in the history of music bands. And you see fashion with that logo, and it kind of becomes like a cult. It's almost like wearing slogan fashion. It's it it's like it's like a statement, whether you've been to their concert or whether you follow them or not. It just becomes like some kind of a symbol. um, and then the article goes into the metaverse. It takes this combination of fashion and music into the metaverse. And in the metaverse, the artists have brought their IRL personalities. It What was so amazing is like it is exactly the same. Their avatars, like Travis Scott had the same tattoos, with his iconic puffy link Gucci chains and his Cactus Jack pendant. Um, Even I wrote about Marshmallow also. His was the first metaverse concert. So he was wearing his Amiri pants and his white T-shirt. Of course, he had his white helmet on, but everything like the same personality has come into the metaverse, and and the metaverse is an environment which has no boundaries to the way you dress, to the way you express, to the music environment that is created. So the show that is there, the music and fashion, the combination that is there in the metaverse, it takes on another level altogether. So this is what I have. I dived in the October issue, and there is also a section where um, um, fashion artists, digital fashion artists, have created fashion looks that are inspired by music. So they have taken a song and they have interpreted that song into a fashion, um, how they feel that how they feel the song gets personified best. And we will be having these fashion artists on VMGM next Monday. So I'm really looking forward to that too.
Yeah, I just want to jump in here real quick, Quanta. I mean, excellent summary, and I couldn't agree more. And I was laughing and nostalgic and all the things when you're talking about it, especially like the band T-shirts, because I mean that was I was a Hot Topic kid, so I all the black T-shirts with the different logos, but then yeah, the concert tees. It was like to bring it into Web3, it was a POAP before there was a POAP, because when I had my Music as a Weapon 3 t-shirt, people knew I was there and saw Disturbed live, and that was just awesome, and of course, you're going to spend inordinate amounts of money for the merch to show you were there. So I definitely can see how this kind of thing is going to bleed into and synergize with Web3 going forward. Because I mean, we had Emily Lazar on last week, and her providing some utility there. I think you're going to see more and more bands step up, because if with the cost of tickets, and the integration and the ability to interface and track with your fandoms, I think Web3 and NFTs in general have huge potential for future development.
I love how you said like these were POAPs before Web3 POAPs came by. Yes, 100%.
I agree. I agree 100% that, I love attending concerts and grabbing a t-shirt, and then, as time goes by, when the band um fades from popularity, or a lead singer passes or whatever, though those t-shirts become a treasure, and maybe I don't wear them anymore, but I keep them in my closet and look at them and think fondly on that memory. And I just really feel like that will be something that um, Web3 will definitely be able to embrace, and vice versa. And that we'll have opportunities to keep and collect those memories that way in a digital fashion. And when you were talking about Michael Jackson and thinking about the 80s and what was popular, and I can't help but think of other iconic people like Cyndi Lauper and Madonna, and how their looks and their styles were so big. And you could wear one thing, and somebody was like, oh, that looks like Madonna. And I just think that is such a beautiful marriage with fashion and music. And I think that you did a perfect job in your article illuminating all of that, just so that we can see how those things go together. And so thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your passion with all of that. And so I want to jump into maybe what we'll probably talk about here for the final piece. We have a new writer that's joined us in Vagobond magazine. She goes by, let me see, Mom, Wife, Sister, Me. And she has found her home on Instagram. And she may be joining a Twitter soon, but her following on Instagram is alive and well. And she is a mom that is joining the Web3 space because her children and her family members, things like that, are involved in Web3. And so she was just really interested in seeing what it's like and what it does. And so she wrote an article for us this time. Let me pull it up really quick so we can kind of talk through it. She is a big proponent of technology and it finding its way into the hands of our future generations so that they have an opportunity to really utilize it. And so this article here talks about starting the school year back to school with ChatGPT. And I know that all through academia that there's all sorts of opinions on ChatGPT, and there's all sorts of opinions with teachers and students and all of this. And her take is really, to boil it down into just a few sentences, is that artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, these different tools are not going anywhere. And to help prepare our students, our children, our nieces and nephews for the future, it would behoove us to teach them how to utilize these tools so that they are not left behind. And that she actually says neglecting to teach this valuable tool would be a disservice. And so I just am really interested in what you guys think and talk through this. And I don't know if you've had an opportunity to read her article or not, but I found it really intriguing. So I'm interested in what you guys think.
So I've got something on this. For those of you who may not know, right now my children are still fairly young. My oldest will be 5 in February, but my wife and I are talking about homeschooling the children. And I've been a huge proponent of integrating technology into the learning space. I think about my work experience, and I didn't major in programming. Right now, all the positions that I've ever had have never been programming related, but I took Visual Basic and Java and a variety of programming classes along the way, some of them self-taught. And I've used that knowledge to give me a leg up in the completely unrelated positions that I've ended up taking later on. So I definitely agree with exposure to technology as part of the education process and integrating it. However, the metaphor that I had written down related to Chat GPT and the educational experience, it's kind of like graphing calculators in the late 90s, early 2000s. Because, for example, and hopefully my high school isn't listening to this, so they'll revoke my grade. I went through geometry and advanced algebra with the best calculator that was available. I think it was a TI-89, but don't quote me on that. And it actually had the functions built in that they were trying to teach us. And my instructor walked up and he'd never seen one of them before, and he looks at it. And I just kind of play dumb. And he's like, oh, this is pretty advanced. And I'm like, yeah, they've got a lot of things, but honestly, I don't look at it outside of the games that are on there. And yeah, that's, going back to my gamer thing, that's how sad it was. One of the attracting features for a calculator was that you could play games on it. In reality, I used it to ace my way through both of those courses. Not that I didn't learn the functions, but I was pretty error proof because I had a calculator that could do them for me. I would caution that tools like ChatGPT, while they need to be learned, there needs to be a method to integrate them into how you perform your tasks. I think that whenever we have something that makes things cognitively easier, we risk stunting our personal growth at the expense of using something as a crutch. So I think there needs to be a happy medium. I definitely think these things need to be integrated because you need to find a way to make yourself technologically savvy and be able to use, the tools that are available to you. I mean, for those of us who are older, listening or speaking on this, I remember when Microsoft Office was cutting edge, and if you knew how to use Office, you were, at the top of the pile. My mom made her living for a long time teaching Microsoft Office to professionals. I think this is the same kind of thing. And it's really just finding the place for it and finding the proper utility. I think the risks that are out there right now is that there are many learners that are trying to use it to get out of learning, and that is very scary to me. But I do not think that's a reason to not expose our learners to the technology. So I'll get off my soapbox here. I'm interested to hear what the rest of you think.
Um, I wonder how would you introduce technology to kids? I mean, this was a few days ago. My niece is 9, and I shared with her that now ChatGPT is, you can will be able to see and can hear and advise you according to what you show it. And the example, I think this was something that CD had shared on the Discord, that somebody has a bicycle, they need to raise the seat higher, and you just, you know, you just put your camera there and ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT tells you, okay, you need to use this, you need to take it higher up. If you don't have this, then the user opened up his toolbox, and ChatGPT said, no, it's the tool on the left side. It's not the tool on your right side. So it was a bit scary. And when I shared this with my niece, and she is like, why would you ask ChatGPT? Why don't you ask a person? So how would you answer something like that? And it is scary. I agree with what he said about you cannot stunt you cannot stunt someone's growth. It cannot be your crux.
Yeah, I think so too. I think a balance in all things is really good. And the approach I think that I would use would be to illustrate, just like as if you were teaching a student to write an informative paragraph or write some sort of narrative or write a poem. I think utilizing the writing tools that exist within their own mind and their own imagination, and then utilizing as a backup something like the dictionary or something like the thesaurus, or something like having it be a tool rather than it being the full form and function of what's happening. And um, finding that balance of being able to say, no, I'm the writer, giving the individual the power to be like, no, I'm the writer, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to say, this is my imagination, this is my piece. And then popping into ChatGPT to see, you know, what would someone say if they were in this situation? Give me 10 examples, and then looking at whatever ChatGPT pops out, and that might illuminate something that you would be like, oh, well, I might be able to use something like this, but then really write what that writer would like to say, or what that creator would like to say or do. And so that's my thought process on that. And then secondarily, another benefit that I see of ChatGPT, and I was in a space months ago when I was talking to another group of professional writers, and one of the writers brought up, can't we see it like if we hired a ghostwriter, or can't we see ChatGPT as something as formulating or outlining or something, doing like that bulk of the work, so then we can take that piece and then modify it to how we want. And then a third thing is, there are lots of people who don't have the ability to sit at a computer and type out like the rest of us do. They may need to speak into something, or utilize different abilities that they do have, but they still have stories within themselves. And so I just really think that allowing ChatGPT to be a tool for them as well is very powerful, so that a person who may not be able to tell a story 10 years ago or 3 years ago now can, because they can utilize ChatGPT. And so I really feel like that there's so many facets to it, but that number one, the writer or the creator is the soul of what is being done. And so long as the learner realizes this, and has that autonomy and independence to know, I don't like what it's putting out, I want to do what I want to do, and I'm going to use it as a tool. So yes, Quanta, I'll pass it back to you.
Yes. So, I mean, what you mentioned about somebody who cannot sit at the computer and write, I think it's very similar to when you're using AI to generate fashion. Like, I've come across many fashion designers, and they cannot sketch out, but they are able to create fashion. I mean, it's in their mind. It is there, but they cannot put it there, you know. And using AI tools, they can, I mean, they can express their vision, and they've created some phenomenal outfits, some phenomenal collections. And I think, yes, when you mention a tool, I'm like for this as a tool, but I also see that people have been a little wary and about it taking over their role, you know. So as long as we consider it as a tool, not as an entity, it is supporting our vision. I think technology is just brilliant.
I think so too. And if we have some new listeners in the audience here, Tom, and a new Sixella, if you guys would like to jump up and give your opinion, please do. I'll leave the space open for a little bit, but we are winding down for the day. And I would love for you to come visit us again next week, same time, same place, and we can continue our conversation on ChatGPT in schools and education. And so Quanta, you and I get to close the space here today. And so how do we want to end this? How do
Yeah.
we want to close it? What do we want to do?
So it's gonna be like a girl. I mean, it's just gonna be us girls.
It is going to be us girls. Well, let's end it with some love and happiness spread around the world here
Yes,
today.
yes. Loads and loads of love, lots of hugs, and have a fantastic week. Fabulous day today, and I think we'll see you all soon next
Yes,
Monday.
definitely. Yes, yes, definitely. Much love, everyone. It's been wonderful to see you and talk with you, and we can't wait till next time.